Welcome to the UnLearn Show, where we talk about breaking bad habits with a purpose. Our guest today is Ashley Horner. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
You can say everybody has been having a great time. Ashley, we wanted to just get started and ask you, can you share one thing with the audience that people don't know about you, or maybe something that you're working on that you'd like to share?
I'm gonna go with what I'm working on. I mean, most of you that know me, it's about I'm really about keeping it real with my story and Anchored Souls, Anchored Kids. Darlene and I have been working on our Anchored Souls Uncut, and we are relaunching March 4th. So super excited about the podcast and just really on a mission to just share some really relatable but really hard to talk about stuff.
Fantastic. Can you hear me? Are we still good? Awesome. Okay, Ashley, what is one thing that you have had to unlearn in the last however long in your personal life, your business, to kind of get to where you are today?
You know, for a while, I thought I could do it on my own. And then I went through a moment where I felt like I can't do it on my own, that I needed to partner with certain people or, you know, really reaching out to my community to do things together. And I think that that answer came twofold. You know, my community loves me for what I do in my messaging. So I really don't necessarily need people to help catapult me, but at the same time, I need people to help me with certain things, like, you know, something that's outside of my expertise. If it's the marketing, if it's publicity, if it's, so there are certain things. It's not like I can call the IT department and say, hey, I need help with this. So it's reaching out to my community for certain expertise, but not so much to share my message. So that was a hard lesson. That was a hard lesson, but it took me, almost 3 years to figure that one out.
So how did you figure that out? Was it a failure, or what happened that caused the struggle and that voice inside your head saying, you know what, something needs to change and we need to figure this out?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is that it's my message. And I learned that just over time, just as I was, you know, working with different people, that it just made sense for me it was a hard lesson learned. Let's put it that way. It was a hard lesson learned in that as I started to build relationships, that I needed to kind of come back to, this is in collaborating with people, it wasn't my message anymore. It was our message. And I needed to come back to my message. That's where I'm going to make the impact. That's where I'm going to make the difference.
That's really, I mean, I guess in that, because like everything that you're talking about, like I struggle with too, or I struggled with, and then had to like finally just be like, okay, I'm gonna ask for help, you know, especially just because I like to do everything on my own, you know, or I think that I can do everything, and I want to control. So is that kind of part of it? Do you think, like like at first, going back to your original Unlearn?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt that there is a level of control. That's why I'm always the one that's driving the car. Like my wife always says to me, you never let me drive. That's right. I mean, I don't understand. Why is that a problem? I have to drive the car. There's a level of control. And so business is the same way for me. It's like, I have to have this level of control that I feel comfortable with. But then I got over that. I got past that. And now it's not so much about control. It's really, I just want to make sure that everything that I do, it's my messaging, because my message is not the same as the next person's. So that's why partnerships is one thing, but turning to other people for expertise is something else.
I do have a follow-up question to that. So I think for a lot of people, it's not that easy. It's not just like, oh, I can recognize this is the thing that I need to be doing and then do it. So what was your process as far as that goes?
Well, it's been a long process. I mean, there's nothing that's been easy about any of this. I think, where I am today versus even where I was 6 months ago is significantly different. And I've kind of just and this is actually something, part of my messaging that I've been talking about, just sit in it. And sometimes we have to embrace the suck. There's a lot of conversation going on about that right now, right? Embrace the suck, because there's moments where I had to do just that. And when you have to realize, if something's not working, don't force it. It's kind of putting that round peg in the square hole. And if it's not working, then change up before it's too late and before you just fail even more. So my process just really just recognizing this is not working much sooner than I would, in previous times, where I would just keep pushing and just realizing it's not working. Let's change it up. Let's stick to my purpose, my why, and my messaging.
Ashley, is there anything outside of control you feel like that has held you back from really speaking, your voice and sticking to your message? Because control is definitely a piece of what I deal with for sure. Is there anything else behind that you feel like that keeps you from wanting to just shout from the mountain what you really, really want to say?
Yeah, there for a bit, it was a couple of things. There for a bit, it was treading carefully, because my message is not easy. A lot of people don't necessarily like to talk about the tough stuff. And so, yeah, last May I shared my story. And so you got little tidbits, but now it's really digging in and being bold enough to dig in enough where I'm forcing people to, look what I just did on Valentine's Day. And I said, I get it. It's not Facebook. And, I posted the pictures of my wife and I, but God dang it, this is what I live and breathe. And so that's what I'm forcing people to really face. So I got the question numerous times, why did you not delete or block the negative comments? Well, because this is my reality. This is what we live and breathe. This is the tough stuff. And I want people to see that it still exists, that the hatred still exists. And it's not for any other reason than that this is why I continue to do what I do. I want to create the change. I want to, create the impact. And the only way that I'm going to do that is by not shielding people from the real truth. And so that's why hashtag keeping it real is big for me this year. And so that's it. It was testing the waters, I guess, if you will. Was my community ready for that? Was my audience ready for that? And really being bold enough to say, if you're not my right audience, that's okay. That was hard. That was just being brave and not coming across as being arrogant, but enough to say, this is real.
Well, that's super courageous. I know that's one of the reasons we were all in unison and like, yes, we got to have her, because she's real. She just keeps it real, and you're courageous. So we appreciate you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Ashley, can you share something? You talk about keeping it real and about the hatred and the negative comments, but can you share something with us, that somebody has said to you that is just like what all of us have said here is, you have that courage to share something in a very unique perspective. You talk about doing it on your own and it's about you in control. Share something that someone has said to you that kind of struck at your, like right to the core of you and made you question, yourself, and then how you overcame that as well.
Well, actually, the most recent comment was that I was going to burn in hell for being a lesbian. So that's awesome. And there was a time that would have bothered me. But as as I have faced this life, it is, you know, we still get the looks. And I even mentioned that in my post. We still get the looks. You know, and I love perspective. I love to see the different perspective that people come up with. The response to that was, it's because you two are beautiful together. The other response to that was, because people can see the love between you. I mean, we've been together for 20 years, so this is not a new experience. But, you know, it's that. And then there's been, you know, the comments that I get about my stepdaughter's addiction. And she's, you know, that is part of my why, the conversation that I have about addiction. It's the same thing where, you know, here I am, we're raising my granddaughter, and there was a comment that was made, you know, this child should not be with you because your stepdaughter is an addict. So you're likely going to turn your granddaughter into an addict. It's like, really? So it's those types of things that actually push me to keep going, to teach people the real stuff and the right stuff. Like your way of thinking, this is not just my way of thinking. There are many, many circumstances that you see. We're not the only ones out there. There are hundreds of thousands of children that are being raised by grandparents because of addiction. So am I going to turn this child out to be an addict just because we might have done something wrong with my stepdaughter? Not necessarily. So the hatred continues to come in so many different forms, but it pushes me. It pushes me to continue with the messaging because people just don't get it. So how are people going to get it? Be the voice. So every time I have conversations on my podcast or just general conversation, the message is, hey, let's share these stories. Let's get louder. The more stories, the louder we get, the bigger the impact. So that's how I just need to keep pushing, or why I need to keep pushing.
That is, excuse me, so beautiful how you acknowledge the hate and you use that to fuel your fire in spreading more love. That is so beautiful. And I want to commend you for never letting those bullies get to you and constantly being that voice. It's freaking awesome. And we need so much more of that in the world. And what I wanted to ask you was, even going back to your unlearn question about giving up control and working with people, your purpose in your heart is for people every single day. How do you, do you have 3 top things or elements that you keep in your back pocket for your interpersonal relationships so that you can put hate aside and really open your mind up and create this nurturing community?
The one thing that I can tell you that I do is I have to just kind of center myself. Like today, you know, this week has been incredibly difficult. It was, you know, we had an issue where there was some disappointment for my granddaughter, and just seeing her just cry herself to sleep because she didn't get to go see her mommy last weekend. And then I was actually, just before we hopped on this, I was just getting ready to post a picture of my granddaughter going to sleep last night with tears in her eyes for the same exact reason, because she was disappointed again. And so I just said to my wife this morning, right before hopping on, I said, let's go. Let's get in the car. Let's go for a drive. And wherever we land, we land. And that's what we do to just kind of recenter ourselves. And we're the 3 amigos. I mean, this is not the life that we chose, but this is the life that we're living. And so we really do try to make the very best of it. And the only way to do that is just by pulling ourselves together, recognizing that it's no one's fault that's in this room, and we just do the very best we can each and every day. And, you know, I don't see a whole lot of my wife. She's working 2 jobs. We're doing the best we can. And it's really just, okay, we have a moment. We have a Saturday. We're all here. We're all together. It's actually sunny outside, which is a change around here lately. So let's just Let's just recenter ourselves and regroup. And that's what I recognize we have to do every so often, because if we don't, then it'll just take us down. It's hard. It is hard. I would be remiss to say, oh yeah, we got this. This is easy. It's a piece of cake. It's far from that. Far from that.
So kind of adding to that, so how your daughter is in that position of kind of being like the tornado running through people's life, like that was me. I was the tornado, and I had struggled with alcohol and drug addiction. And so people, it's such a complex thing. And it's interesting that people want to point at you and be like, you did this, right? But it's like, no, every person is responsible for their actions. And so, yeah, same to what Chantel said, kudos to you. And there was something really interesting, because I've kind of been going through some stuff, but it was, I can't remember, I just made a post about it. Oh yeah, about fighting reality, about arguing with reality and telling reality how it should be. And it sounds like you have a pretty good grip on that. But like, is there something, so like you guys kind of like jump into the car and kind of take off and like go on your own adventure. And that's always a good reminder to like remember, no matter like if the whole world is burning down and you have this core group of people and you have each other, like you're doing good. But is there something that you say to yourself that will kind of snap you back to reality when you want to just give in and be like, everything's gone to, it's madness? Because like the fighting reality, that really stuck out to me. But is there something that you use?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There are times where I've come close to just saying, screw this. This sucks, and this is really hard. And going back to working in the corporate world would be so much easier. And I wouldn't be going to sleep worrying every single night about, be it how we're going to pay the bills or where's the next check coming from. But I'm going to tell you something. One thing that I've learned is believe. Believe in yourself. Because when I stop believing is when things do go. When I continue to believe, call it what you will, something always comes through. Something always comes through that shows me keep going. And so it's kind of, it's the messaging that someone used to tell me after I lost my mom. Pay attention, because she will show up. And she does, like just out of the blue, she just shows up. But I pay attention. And so it's the same thing with this. I pay attention. So there's those little signs. It's like, I do need to continue to do this. I do need to continue to share my messaging and keeping it real with people, because it's needed. So for example, there was something I posted. Oh, I did a Life Sucks post. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I did a Life Sucks post, both on LinkedIn and Facebook. And someone on Facebook said, when are you starting your workshops? Like, But that's just it. It's, it's like if she planted a seed, that person planted a seed, and it's like, maybe that is something that I need to consider so that my reach can be much greater, much better, where I'm doing a lot of individual stuff now.
So Ashley, we wanted to, first of all, thank you for sharing your story and a lot of the thoughts of what make you who you are, right? Just being you. We'd love to give you the opportunity to flip the script on each of the co-hosts. And for the next 5 minutes or the remainder of your show, you have the opportunity to ask each one of us a question. So feel free to pick and choose. And if you've got more than one for someone, that's perfectly fine as well. So for the next 5 minutes, the show is all yours.
Great. So Chantel and Katie, still waiting for you to sign up for my podcast. So there's that. Laci, we've never had the opportunity to talk, so let's get that on the books. Sonny, we live in the same town. I do not understand why we've not seen each other. And so Jake, just loved our time on the podcast. So that's pretty quick and simple. But here's some questions for you. Chantel, how are you doing? You've had some major stuff happening.
Oh my God. Honestly, it took me 5 minutes to put on a shirt this morning. Like these are struggles that people don't see, but my arms could not move and they couldn't find the holes in my shirt. Like these tiny little issues that happen. It's like, I don't know why I felt the need to tell you about putting a shirt on today, but life is hard. It is really, really hard right now. And we're going through so many diagnoses right now with a bunch of different other autoimmune conditions. And it's really been opening my eyes to the fact that when I am going through all of this, I just also got noticed that my brother-in-law almost died the other day because he had an allergic reaction to the contrast that they put in his body to do the scans for testing. And all of a sudden he just started itching his head. And he's bald like Jake, but yeah, he's like, oh, I shaved this morning. So it's probably just that. But then I'm like, oh my God, I gotta step back and be more caring and aware of my people, because yeah, it's important to practice self-care, but at the same time, I love my family, and family comes first always and foremost, and everybody has conditions that they're going through. So thanks for asking, Ash. I'm sorry to bring it down a little bit, but yeah, it's rough, but being bubbly and blessed is what it's about to get through the day. So doom and gloom over here. Sorry.
No, hey, that falls in line with my life sucks post the other day. Yeah. It's all about perspective. I mean, we keep it real, right?
Oh God, yeah. Sure do.
Katie.
I'm scared. Okay.
So Katie, sustainable. Tell me what's the project that you're working on now?
Lots of projects always. Actually, a project was just born on Instagram Live the other day with Russ Avery. I don't know if y'all know him.
I did see that.
Okay, yeah.
Awesome.
So that, plus all the other clients that we're working with, actually, I'm kind of like going from being just me and a couple people to actually going to investors and trying to actually grow and scale the company. So that's been really
exciting.
Really interesting. No, it's terrifying. It's really scary, and I just feel dumb a lot of the time, but it's fine.
Hey, if we don't feel dumb at least once a day, what's the day?
My quota is like at least 200 times.
Right. Right. I hear you.
Yeah. So, but all those struggles.
I do. Absolutely. And Sonny, when's your next book coming out?
You mean the first book or the one after that?
I mean, I know the first book's coming, but are you writing your second one?
Yeah, that's actually a really great question. So the first book is actually coming out on March 5th, official launch. And for those of you that aren't local, I'm so sorry you won't be able to join us for the pre-launch party. But Ashley, you will be receiving a special invitation.
Oh, snap. Look at that.
Where the entire month of March, April, and almost May now, every weekend, we have book signings and events that are just kind of slowly trickling.
Awesome.
So it's restaurants, Barnes and Nobles, bookstores. We're actually going to be in Katie and Jake's part of the world. We'll be in Austin, Texas for a day. We'll be in Seattle. So the next book is, I've actually, the goal is to have it launched by next year, but I actually will be announcing probably in the next 3 to 6 months, a pretty neat brand partnership. So we've been asked to write a book hand in hand with a pretty nice brand that is somewhere in the United States.
Exciting.
We're excited.
Exciting. Laci looks like she's still thinking. So Jake, Jake, what are you working on?
What I want to be when I grow up. That's pretty much it.
Got it.
I'm a Hufflepuff like Katie over here, so we like to do lots of things all the times. and that gets in the way. So I have something in mind. I'm not ready to really share with the world yet, but I'm working on some a single-minded project around growth and habits and something specific to help people. So I just like to help people with what they're doing and just make it a little bit better. I just like helping push people an inch further.
So what you're saying is I need to call you after this.
I love that. The first one was a good convo, so number 2 is only gonna be better, right?
All right. So do you still need some buffering time, Laci, or are we good? You ready?
I got this. So, I'm thinking, so right now, take my entire life out of the equation. I think right now, what I'm working on for myself, and you talked a lot about this, and so I think it's kind of relevant, is mindset, is learning how to actually like shift your mindset from negative, from, you know, feeling stuck or anything like that. So I'm actually going to flip it again. Is there any like resource or anything that you use that you could tell people about that would be good for, like, you know, learning how to like change the way you think or change the way you react or anything like that?
Yeah, so one of the things that I talk a lot about is building your own toolkit, and everybody's toolkit's going to look a little bit differently, right? Not to say that I'm sitting here bashing like therapy or counseling, but you know, we built Home Depots and Lowe's for DIY, right? It's the same thing with our emotional health, our emotional well-being. I have my own little DIY kit, and every now and then I got to reach in there and I got to pull something out to kind of get me through the day or get me through that moment. You know, kind of like what Chantel was talking about, you know, yet just every day it might be a different struggle. So I think for me specifically, it's realizing what that toolkit looks like. And, you know, for years, I went through 15 years of counseling, for God's sakes. And I can't sit here and say, yep, that fixed me, that did it. No, what I had to do, I had to hold myself responsible for creating that DIY self-help kit that worked for me. And so I put those tools together. So it really is depending on me to get through that really shitty time, or changing my mindset where I'm not feeling sorry for myself, or I'm not, you know, just really pushing myself or digging my heels in to say, I'm going to get through this. It might suck for the moment, but again, like I said earlier, you know, embracing the suck, accepting the reality, but hey, I'm going to get through it. So it really is, it's not really just one thing. To answer your question, it's not just one thing. It's a multitude of things that what might have worked yesterday isn't going to work today. And so that's why we're getting in the car and we're going to take off and go do something different today and get in a different space, getting myself out of the office, or, you know, to do just that, change the mindset. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Love it.
Ashley, once again, on behalf of all the co-hosts in the UnLearn Show, thank you so much for giving up a little bit of time this Saturday morning to speak with us. Have a lovely weekend. And
thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Enjoy your journey.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ashley.
All right. Take care.